Mira Business FM, the morning drive with me, Tim Elliott, and real estate this morning. Every Wednesday morning, Mario Volpi is here, Senior VP Investment Advisory, Allegiance Real Estate, and many other things besides. Just the real estate man about town. That's a good intro for you. The real estate man about town.
Wow, good morning, Tim.
Yeah,
morning.
nice to see you. How are you feeling this morning after another...
Jaded.
Yeah,
a bit jaded. Only 3.5 hours sleep, as we know.
Yeah, not a great result for your boys.
We came back from a really good, resounding victory over your team, which I wasn't going to mention, but it's the only thing I can hold on to at the moment, to a really disappointing night. I mean, to sort of stay up, watch that, and then go to bed at 3 a.m, and then have to be up for this is dedication.
I thank you for that. I mean, you could have called in sick and just said, look, my heart is heavy today.
I don't know whether I mentioned this before, but I think I hold, I want to say I'm a record holder. In all my years of working, and I started working when I was 18 days away from my 20th birthday, I have never taken a day off sick, ever. And I've been sick. We have mentioned this. We have, haven't we? I'm sure we have.
But I mean, I think
could never call in sick.
This should be screamed from the rooftops because it's kind of odd as well.
It is odd. Yeah, actually. Yeah. And ironically, sometimes when I have actually been really ill, it started like on a Friday evening, and by Sunday night, I'm okay. so weekends ruined.
Ruined weekend.
But yeah, no, I've never actually taken a day off sick.
You should do that. Though you should just have a mental health day, just to see what it's like. You'd be very uncomfortable, though, wouldn't you? What am I missing?
Yeah, I would feel guilty.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's you probably could get a Guinness World Record for that. If you could prove it.
I googled it. I'd probably be given the longevity of my sort of career and all the rest of it. I think I'd be in the sort of top 10 of those stats. So who knows? I mean, there might be people who, like me, who've never even mentioned it, and people don't know, but.
What do you think of people? Because in every office, in every organisation, wherever you go in the world, there's always one person that at the drop of a hat will be, I got
sneezed. Soap. No, I got soap in my eyes when I wash my hair.
Yeah. What do you think of people that do that? I mean, I think there are a lot of chances around.
Well, given my stats, I just think they're taking the Michael. I really do. Unless you, and I don't want to say unless you really are dying. Of course, there's the other thing that people don't come to work because they don't want to spread their germs. Yeah. And I get that, especially HR. They always say, you stay away if you're not feeling very well because you could obviously give it to other people. But I don't know. That's just how I am. Well, no, that's just how I am.
You're just like, infect or die.
Yeah. I mean, I like to spread the love. So there you go.
Oh, dear. So, lots to talk to you about this morning. A couple of things I wanted to do before we get into the meat and veg, if you like, of our discussion. Dubai Loop contract signed yesterday. Big deal, this, I think. I mean, this is the Elon Musk-led high-speed underground road system. So it's around kind of DIFC and Dubai Mall, and it's an alternative network. But it's now been signed. 19 stations, 22.2 kilometres in total. And it's going to cost 565 million dirhams.
Yeah, we talked about this on the podcast and obviously on the show here. And it's actually great to see that it will come to fruition, and it isn't just chatter, as it were. And it's going to be an amazing amenity or addition to a very central part of Dubai. You know, the business district there is well known. Recently, Sheikh Mohammed himself announced further investment into DIFC and its surroundings. So, you know, I always have to look at it from a real estate point of view, and from a real estate point of view, the surrounding areas, I guess, of downtown DIFC. There are some residential units there, but it tends to be more commercial. And a newer area that's formed, which again I think we spoke about it on the show, is Jumeirah Garden City, which was known as Al Satwa. Now it's funny because we've got a project there that we're trying to sell. So this is a shameful plug coming up. But what I have been saying to the agents is, ensure that people know that with this investment coming into DIFC initially. And now this has been, formally rubber stamped, if you like. there's going to be more people coming to work in the DIFC area, the Central Business District, or downtown. And this is just an amazing addition to the transportation system. Being underground, obviously, it's going to be fine, clearly, all year round. And it means it's walkable as well, as I understand, if it's that particular one. Because there were 2 Dubai loops, and there was a little bit of confusion. Maybe this is just the transportation and you cannot walk it. But either way, it's just adding another transportation dimension to that area, and it's being regenerated. So Jumeirah Garden City is being regenerated, and it's the area basically behind Sheikh Zayed Road, and sort of down from the sea where La Mer is, as it were, or where La Mer used to be.
Yeah, that's right. It's kind of down towards Union House, isn't it, where the Federation Agreement was signed.
If anybody's thinking about investing and trying to get into certain areas before, if they really take off, then they really should look at this area, because whilst I'm going to say it's a bit of a building site right now, because clearly they are redeveloping. There's lots of low-rise buildings there as well, lots of movements. But it just means that people will be able to live very close by to these centres like the IFC and downtown.
That's right. I mean, anything you can do in that area to relieve traffic, because it can be, it's so busy and so popular. Yeah. These are tunnels, by the way, 3.6 metres in diameter. Do you know the thing that surprises me about this? It's going to be done in phases, but phase 1 of the project, so the first, I don't know how many stations, but a number, 1 year to complete. The whole project, in theory, is a 3-year project. It's not long.
It's not long. I seem to remember that they were announcing that it was going to be live in 2026. Now, I might be wrong there, because there's so many stats going on in my heads at the moment, and especially we speak about this in the past. But things change, so it could be that it was due to be. They've looked at the plans and said, look, that's not possible. Plus, they're going underground, so there's going to be boring, and I think they've signed it with a company called Boring.
It's a Boring company,
it's a dreadful name.
A dreadful name, but
it does what it says on the tin, doesn't it?
Exactly right. No, that's the truth. No, that's good. And of course, Satwa, you're talking about my old hood there. I still feel, I look back at living in Satwa, I lived there for a few years, long time ago. But whenever I go to Satwa, I always think, I wish I still lived here. I really like living there.
Well, it's funny, the very first place I went to work in what brought me to Dubai from London, had their offices facing Sheikh Zayed Road, actually at what then became the foot of the sort of escalator for Business Bay Metro, because they were there in sort of the early, I think it was the early 2000s, and the metro station obviously opened in 2009. So that office didn't have obviously a metro station. When they put that there, it was a bit of a gold mine, because there was a lot of walk-in traffic, and the area behind where we parked, all that was known as was Satwa.
It was, yeah.
So it's basically kind of between the City Walk and where you're talking about now. So. Yeah, I mean, look what they've done with City Walk. I mean, that's an amazing place. Boulevards and very sought after and expensive. Prices have gone up there. So I suspect that little old Satwa or Jumeirah Garden City could be a little gem.
Yeah, let's see what happens. It wouldn't be a surprise. Other thing was, I'm reading the paper online yesterday, all right, and I'm reading a story. It was The National, who you write for, and this is what is it? Well, I can't remember the name of the article. It's a series. It's a weekly thing. My favourite place to rent. It's called something like that. But this is about somebody who's overjoyed living in their dream house, and I think it was Victory Heights. So much sought after area. 5-bedroom villa there, ultimate place. Looked nice, but it seemed really overpriced to me. 390,000 dirhams a year. I mean,
5 bedrooms?
5 bedrooms. I mean, I guess that's what they go for. And I'm thinking, steep. But this person was really, really pleased to be living there. And I thought, kind of, what price? Happiness, really.
Yeah, look, on paper, 390,000 is a lot of money, and obviously it would cover the table here, and we'd be counting it all day type of thing. But actually... villa prices have gone up tremendously because of all the families coming over, or should I say all people coming over and then bringing their families. And they're much sought after, and they don't really they're not building. They are building now, but there was this period where they weren't building so many villa communities because obviously it's very flat.
Sure.
Yeah? A developer will make more money in building a tower clearly because he's using up less land space. So yeah, that there is a shortage. Victory Heights is a very well established villa community, obviously with the Els golf course there as well. So it's posh, it's up there, and they're nice houses. So when you look at what else that buys you. It's probably about right, to be fair, but you're right. It is you've got to be earning a lot of money, let's put it that way, for you to be able to afford that. But of course, there is that argument that some of these executives might have it paid by the company, although even that is starting to wane a bit. I remember when I first came to Dubai, it was what we call a hardship posting, in inverted commas. Now, they're not giving anything. You'd be lucky to get a salary type of thing. That's about it.
Not so much, I
gone.
suppose. But it seemed like a lot to me. But then, this person's happy there, so who am I to say? But it made me think, and then I came across your column. This is one of your columns. And again, this is published, this was yesterday in The National. The question sort of resonated with me. And it's that conundrum of, rents are high, but how can I buy? It's the eternal question. Here was the question that somebody wrote in, JA Dubai. I don't know who they are, but it says, the question was, my rent has increased quite a lot since 2021, but buying still feels out of reach. It's a very familiar story. And then it was kind of a heartfelt, almost plaintive. How are families supposed to stay in Dubai for the long term anymore? And I felt a little bit sad about that. But it raises a really good point, I think. And it goes back to, you're paying this much for a villa, but you still can't get the down payment to get yourself into the market. It's a tough one.
Yeah, it's absolutely. And the advice I gave pretty much was just from the heart that. It is tough because if you are looking to buy what you need, then sometimes it's nigh on impossible. So, for example, I invested myself, but I never invested in something that I could buy to live in it because the prices were just too high. So I don't know who coined the phrase, but it's rent vesting. So where you rent and invest. So you're renting, but you still have some money to invest elsewhere. Now, elsewhere could be, you're a family, so the family of whatever, but you potentially have enough money to be able to buy a studio, for example. So you're investing into Dubai without necessarily investing in something that you're able to move into. It was a very difficult question to actually answer because the JA really hit the nail on the head, because unless you are able to move in areas that then will cause you problems from a point of view of schools, point of view of traveling, it's very tough to actually get onto that ladder. But look, this is Dubai is a victim of its own success now, because it is no longer, just desert. I mean, just look around you, how amazing this city is, this emirate is, and not just Dubai, the whole of the Emirates. So there are still pockets of places that you can find that are, dare I say, a little bit more reasonable. There are developers that are a little bit more reasonable in price. But yes, it is tough. The payment plans, however, are very good. They are, in fact, interest-free. I nearly said tax-free there. Interest-free. And I was surprised the other day to actually learn just how many developers are still offering post-handover payment plans. This is where you've paid a certain amount, often between 40 and 60%. You get the keys, and then the remaining 40 or 60%, depending on what the first part was, can be paid over a period of 2 years or even 3 years. What that means from an investment point of view is that you take ownership of your property, and if you are renting it, effectively you can rent it at 100% of whatever the rent is, having only paid 60% or 40% of the value. So the first few years are very, very good. So what I'm trying to say is that there are definitely developers out there that are trying to help. There's obviously the first-time buyer scheme, which came out last year, which will help to get preferential rates on the mortgages. You can you can pay the 4% over a period of a year, rather than having to pay it all up front when you do the Okud, whether it's off plan or whether you do the transfer when you're buying secondary. So, but this question was a very difficult one, as I mentioned, to answer, and hopefully I gave some comfort that potentially there are still things out there, but it is a tough one, because if you're needing to buy something that fits your requirements, you might have to continue to rent. But I mean, I think rents will come down soon. When I say soon, they have to, with all the number of units that are going to be handed over. By the way, they've all been bought, right? They're all
Sure.
sold. So, so the only market that it can affect has got to be the rental market. Properties that are handing over will be left empty. They're going to be used as holiday homes for themselves. They're going to be used as holiday homes to rent out short term, or they're going to be used to move in, obviously, and the fifth one, long-term renting. Those are the 5 elements. So a lot of people will obviously want to rent out, especially if people have bought them from abroad, they don't live here. So that stock will have to have an effect on prices, maybe softening, in the months or the years to come.
All of that's borne out by latest figures as well. There's a headline at the weekend: Dubai real estate records highest ever January transactions peak. And I was talking about this yesterday with a guest on this program, but I'm interested in your perspective, because nearly 17,000 sales deals completed last month in January. That's up just over 20% from the 14,000 last year. So it's a huge surge of activity. And this is DLD, Dubai Land Department data, showing total real estate transactions in January, 107.96 billion dirhams, almost double, just under 60 billion recorded in the same month last year. This is just a series of superlatives, isn't it?
Yeah, look, Dubai never ceases to amaze me how it keeps sort of reinventing itself, and apart from maybe a month or two where we might see similar growth, it's got to be down to the population. We don't hear monthly, just like every month we know whether petrol prices are going up or down. Yeah, they announce things like that, but the population is not announced on a monthly basis. So people have to live somewhere. Dubai does an amazing job on the world stage. I've said it before. So clearly, if people are not coming here to live here and therefore taking that stock, the rest have got to be investors. And that is why 65, 70%, especially of last year, the split was between off-plan and secondary market. So the off-plan market is driven very much by the investors, and mainly abroad. So because it does a great job in selling itself, of course, people are curious. We do over 200 road shows at Allegiance every year, and we're going to far-flung places, and that's a lot of road shows, and people are super curious. Yes, we sell also at those events, but there are times where people have just absorbed it because they've either seen it on TV or they've read about it. I'm talking obviously Dubai. And then all of a sudden they say, oh, I didn't realize that Ras Al Khaimah was just there, or I didn't realize Abu Dhabi is just there. It opens up another thing. Oh, I didn't realize there's going to be flying taxis. I didn't realize that road is going to, so getting around is, soon we'll be talking about the flying taxis. They're coming.
We're already talking about the flying taxis, but I mean,
you've seen them,
having experienced it.
Well,
yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, if I can afford it, but that's a different matter. Who knows what they're going to cost? Mario Volpi is with me, Senior VP Investment Advisory at Allegiance Real Estate, and all-round real estate man about town. We have been talking about a little bit of football news, the Dubai Loop. Also considering if your rent has gone up, but buying still feels out of reach, how you feel about that. Very very familiar story. And in the papers this weekend, Dubai seeing real estate records once again, the highest ever January, as transactions have reached an historic peak, up 20% from last January, and in financial terms, up something like 45%. Other thing, Mario, thank you for sticking around, by the way. Total real estate transactions 2025, 917 billion. That's the much quoted figure. A level that was initially targeted for 2033. Attained in 2026, as you well know, of course. So the suggestion is the market could and very likely will soon surpass $1 trillion dirhams in annual trading value. It's just globospheric. If that's not a word, it should be.
Globospheric, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Good word.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's far ahead of itself. Like I said, it's a victim of its own success. And Dubai, UAE in general, will continue to look at how to keep this ball bouncing. I mentioned prior to the news break there about the first-time buyer initiative. That will be further developed. I strongly think that, see, right now it's only if you hold an Emirates ID, if you're a resident in the Emirates and have never bought a property in Dubai before, you're eligible, along with the fact that you have to be over 18, etc. But I've got a funny feeling that the government probably will open it up to the rest of the world. Why wouldn't they? Because there is a pool of people sitting, I'm not going to say on the fence, but certainly pondering. You know, we've heard about Dubai, we're hearing good things about it. You know, maybe we should, dip our toe in, maybe we should come and see. Many people even buy without seeing. But an initiative like the first-time buyer one, that then gets opened up to the rest of the world. I mean, it's just going to bring in more people into it, and that's why I think we are ahead of ourselves. It's initiatives like this. It's spending on infrastructure. We mentioned that as well. I mean, it's just an amazing city. It's amazing Emirates, and it's forever improving itself. I always say it's run like a company. It's not really run like a government. And the CEO, Sheikh Mohammed himself, he'll sit, with his board members, the council executives, to say, right, how can we improve things? How can we improve? And not just for Emiratis, obviously for all residents of Dubai and the wider UAE. So that is why I think we're ahead of ourselves. And despite perhaps geopolitical headwinds around, Dubai always comes up smelling of roses whenever also there's conflict. So that's going to be a topic in next week's panel discussion that I was telling you about with Cavendish Maxwell. And I've got stories where last year, as you might remember, and I might be going a little bit off topic here, but it is pertinent to describe exactly how Dubai bounces back. We had a group. There was 3 Italian ladies who wanted to invest. They put their expressions of interest down on a particular project in Dubai Islands, which is an amazing master planned community. And they then left. And whilst they were in the air from Dubai to Italy, we had the situation with US and Iran, and then of course the backwards and forwards, and Qatar got involved and everything, as you know. Yeah. So when they landed, they thought, my goodness, what have we done? This is not going to be a good investment. And they called up, I think it was the very next day or the day after, to say they would like to withdraw their expressions of interest, which EOIs are 99.9% are refundable anyway, because they haven't actually bought anything. So we organised that. We tried to explain, look, that's fine, it's your choice, but other people that have done that in the past have lived to, I wouldn't say regret it, but wish they hadn't, perhaps. And anyway, fast forward about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, something like that. It was about a month later. One of the three ladies themselves unilaterally decided upon herself to make a call to say, you know, that property that we were buying, you know, is it still available? Can I, can I do something with it? And we said, well, good news and bad news. The good news is, yes, we can do something. The bad news is, no, that one's no longer available, because the minute you withdrew your EOI, there are other people who understand what the market is like here in Dubai, and it's gone. The bad news is that whilst I can sell you something else, it's actually more money. So she had to pay more for a very similar unit. And actually, I saw her in December of this year. She came to the office at Allegiance with other investors, and she's extremely happy. So look, it's not for everyone. I've got another couple who, again, are thinking about, they're from Switzerland, they're thinking about investing, and I got a text from them yesterday saying that they're going to pause just to see how the situation, the potential situation might pan out. And I said, look, it's understandable. I didn't at that point go into, yeah, but my other clients have done this, that, and the other. I thought, look, just let them, because she did say that she would be back in touch soon. I'll keep in touch with her. But again, the same is going to happen. The budget that they have for a specific property now will not be the same, because, like I say, we always sort things out. Look, it might be different this time. I hope it isn't. But generally speaking, history has shown that the Emirates have benefited, dare I say, from conflict around the world.
Well, that's all you can rely on, isn't it? Nobody knows what's going to happen. That's fine, but historically, Dubai seems to buck the trend. I think that's really the point, isn't it? That's generally the case. Let's look at some of the things that I know you've been looking at in detail. A few questions for you. Last week. It was last week, maybe the week before. It was last week. Dubai and Ajman introducing new rental dispute resolution frameworks, almost sort of back to back, really, Mario.
Yep.
And this is Dubai enhancing its conciliation service through the RDC, which is the Rental Disputes Committee. Ajman has now established a dedicated rental dispute resolution centre, so an RDRC. What does this tell you about where the rental market in the UAE is headed?
Well, if we look at the UAE in general, it's basically showing us that it's maturing because regulators are moving away from slow disputes, and they're moving towards faster, fairer, and perhaps more transparent resolution systems. Now, in Dubai, the focus is now more on amicable conciliation, legally binding settlements without this need for lengthy court battles.
Right.
With Ajman, this creation of this dedicated rental dispute centre is going to fast track cases and is going to strengthen legal certainty. Now, for landlords, this means quicker outcomes and reduced risk. For tenants, it means clearer protection and access to justice. And ultimately, these reforms improve the confidence, the support, rental market, stability, and makes the UAE a more attractive place to live, invest, and obviously do business in real estate.
Here's a question for you, and this is Trish emailing. I've been deciding between Al Fajan and Motor City. 2-bedroom apartment is what Trish is looking for. Any insider info from our man about town when it comes to real estate on which area is better in the long run?
I assume she's looking at then what capital appreciation, because if you're buying, you know, what Al Fajan is not next to Motor City, so there's obviously two areas she's highlighted.
I guess either, you know, real fan of Fajan. I mean, they're quite different as well.
Exactly.
But maybe you just like the areas.
So I think Al Fajan is more established as an area if we look at the master plan, and of course you've got the metro system running sort of between Al Fajan and Discovery Gardens.
Yep.
So it's well connected. When it comes to Motor City, ironically, it's where I work. Motor City is where Allegiance is, and it's an area that sort of stalled, I think, in the past. You've got the Autodrome. There's swathes of towers and
you
places.
have a big tower by the end of the Autodrome. Is that where you were? Sort of opposite, the Waitrose little shopping
Yeah,
centre?
yeah.
Oh, you're in there.
It's
Okay, I've got
it's
you.
Control Tower. It's the only commercial tower
Right.
there, of that size. But there are towers that were started and then never finished. So you've got these skeletal structures, if you like,
That's right.
scattered around Motor City. Uptown Motor City is very, very nice, but there are now all of a sudden because Union Properties are the master developer for Motor City. They had problems sort of in the early 2000s or around the sort of financial crisis. They bounced back, and as a result, they've now put into place a lot of projects that they want to either revisit or start again from scratch. So, I guess if you're looking at it from injecting life into an area, I think Motor City probably just nudges it for me. If you're looking at more connectivity and indeed location from the point of view of where the city is shifting, then Al Fajan is probably better, because if you look at Palm Jebel Ali and go downwards, that sort of Jebel Ali corridor leading all the way down to the Al Maktoum airport, which obviously will be the new airport, is I think where the shift is happening. So really she needs to weigh up what she's trying to get out of it. I think both are very good prospects. Perhaps shorter term it might be Motor City, but perhaps longer term it might be Al Fajan. Spoken like a true Libran, given the balanced view and not actually answered the question.
That's why you're here. You know that. That's why we
Sorry, I
invite
just
you back every
assessed
week.
my own answer there.
But there's
I hope
something.
that helped.
There's something about Motor City. I think I like the kind of the high street thing that's.
They've got amazing
I
shops.
just love it.
They've got. When I say shops, they tend to be more sort of food and beverage outlets. I have to say,
True,
lots of places to eat and drink. But there are outlets there. Being a bit of a petrol head myself, I do like, and especially from Control Tower, we can actually see the track. And there's, when the Porsches go round, where the cars go round during the week, it's always nice to hear that little bit of a roar as they go round. I've done it myself in a single seater. It's very, very good. But when I look further around, there's lots of, as I say, land that is either being prepared for these projects, and it's not just Union Properties. There are other developers developing there as well. So it's one to look out for. I didn't realise just how close it is to where I live, because I thought it was miles away, like anything. But I'm going against the traffic, so it's only a 15-minute drive from JBR to Motor City. Because everyone else is going the other way.
Yeah, for sure. It's
And
pretty easy
coming
commute.
home, it's the opposite. It's great. Traffic obviously is when you hit JBR, you then have a bit of traffic in the evening. But it is technically only a 15-minute drive.
Pays your money, takes your choice, don't you? I suppose. Here's another question for you. This was there was a comment for you actually as well. This is Fudge 104. Which is one of the great nicknames. I'm assuming it's a nickname
Sounds
rather
like
than
a great
real
radio
name.
station, doesn't it?
It does. I never miss an episode with Mario Volpi. Not a question, but an actual comment. Hee hee.
Okay, well that's very nice.
Nice.
I don't know a Fudge, so it can't be any family member or anything. Great name. Yeah, great nickname.
Fudge
Thank
is
you.
now your friend.
Thank you.
So there you are. Prince, I read it's better to buy a villa than an apartment. I mean, this is very loaded, this question, but I'll read it to you. Budget-wise, I can only afford an apartment. Does this mean I should just rent rather than buy until I can afford a villa?
I wouldn't.
Oh.
Honestly speaking, I wouldn't. If you can afford to buy now, I mean, remember you're asking an estate agent, okay? So the time to buy real estate is always now, whether the market is rising, declining, whatever. If you're buying for the right reasons, it's always now. We're fortunate in the UAE that we're not involved with chains, and what I mean by that is, for somebody in order to buy something, they need to sell something, and the person, further up the chain is buying something else. But so in the UK you have these sort of chains of 4, 5, 6. The longest one I think I had was around 11, and it snaked up and down the country. And if somebody catches a cold at the bottom, the whole thing collapses. Yeah. So we're fortunate we don't actually have that here. But I would not rent if you can afford to buy, because things are improving. You've seen that. Dubai will obviously get to a stage where there will, because what goes up has to come down, or there'll be a period of stability, all the rest of it. But I think the long-term plan for Dubai is amazing, and so if you can afford to buy into that by buying your own home, whether it be an apartment, then just do it. If however he's looking as an investment, yes, it's true that villas have outperformed, but that's only because there's less of them, so it's a scarcity point of view.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
But if he's looking at return on investment, if he's looking at capital growth, the apartments are not that far behind in terms of percentages. Of course, they seem much less when you're talking about paying less for them, and of course, every tower block is going to have 300 odd units in it, whereas villa communities are going to be probably less, depending on the size of the land. Or if it's a master plan community, then there are also going to be hundreds of villas there too. So my advice would be no, don't just rent, because he won't probably save as much as he thinks he can. Life gets in the way as well. Holidays get in the way, families get in the way, school fees, all the rest of it.
Yeah.
So the chances are probably that will be something that he'll never reach. So it's better to grab something, and it will still grow in value anyway.
For sure. I mean, if you feel like it's the right time to buy, it may well be that is the case. But I mean, only Prince knows, I suppose. Here's John. Need your thoughts. It's an interesting question, actually. My landlord, super nice, out of the blue, sent me a message asking for a copy of my contract because he doesn't have a copy anymore. However, I can't find my copy of the contract. So there you are. Is there anything I should know? Do you think he needs another thing, not really the contract, or am I just overthinking because he might ask for a rent increase? I mean, the contract is registered, isn't it?
Yeah, so I was going to say,
not
if it's a proper contract, it should be on the Ijari system.
Yeah.
And all they have to do is go to their Dubai, the UAE pass, and all their contracts are there anyway, or contact Ijari, and they'll show you where it is. So as far as John, you were saying, as far as John is concerned, he should be able to find his. I think it is more of a broader question, because I'm wondering what is it that the landlord is looking at. He knows what the rent is because it's being paid, whether in one check or 12 checks or whatever. Mm-hmm. The Ijari contract outlines certain terms and conditions, but doesn't really outline the sort of addendum, as most agents will add to it, that you can't do this, you can't do that, and the do's and don'ts, which, as I say, cannot be put on that. So I'm really wondering why a landlord, unless we're all overthinking it, he just wants it for his files. I don't know.
I mean, it may well be that it's just got lost.
But important to note, I mean, if we're going down the sort of rental increase route or any changes to the contract, the landlord has to give 90 days written notice.
That's
written can be an email, can be a WhatsApp, but it has to be put in writing. 90 days notice that at the time of renewal, I'm looking to change X, Y, Z. If it's a rental increase, it should state, look, I'm looking to increase the rent, but nearer the time, we'll check out what the Smart Rental Index says is permissible. If the landlord does not give 90 days notice, irrespective of whether the rental index actually does state an increase is permissible, as per the law, it shouldn't be followed through because the 90 days weren't given.
Here's something else for you. This is anonymous, and it's off topic. Mario, you're getting some compliments today. You're gonna walk out of here, your head will be bigger. The way it's going.
3.5 hours sleep, goodness.
Well, there you go. You seem like a nice boss. How do I apply to become a real estate agent under your supervision?
Amazing. That's exactly what I would like. Look, every single real estate company at the moment is hiring, and there are these companies who perhaps only want experienced agents. They're the ones that are really suffering because experienced agents don't tend to move unless, of course, they've fallen out with their boss or there's some money issues with the accounts or something. So you've got to be at the right place at the right time. The one thing that I say about joining a real estate company, especially if you are new to the industry, is that whilst most agents do the same thing, they advertise in the same portals, they tend to congregate in the same areas, Marina Plaza being one of them, and Control Tower we are, there's millions of us, it's down to who your manager is.
Right.
And, if you can find somebody that is supportive enough, that cares about your well-being from the point of view of helping you when things are not going right, then that is a person that you should stick by. I think management is something. Yes, you can learn bits of it, but it's something that is with you. I look at it a bit like a vocation, in the sense that, from my perspective, what I really enjoy, and I guess it's why nurses go into nursing, is wanting to help people. I really enjoy when an agent closes a deal, because I look at that I have helped that person to either reach that level, give him confidence, or her, or guided, because I have been an agent as well. So obviously I've walked similar roads many moons ago. So maybe they don't work, but at least I can give some sort of a guidance. So if this lady would like to become a real estate agent, or is one, and wants to come and join Allegiance, I hope she can send an email and you can put her in touch with me.
Okay, well, we'll certainly do that. I mean, what do you look for? I'm interested in this. Is there a standout characteristic where somebody will walk in and say, Mario, really, you want to join the team? What's the thing that makes you think you'll be great?
Yeah, it's a good question, because it really is pigeonholing people, which we shouldn't do, because if you're talking about, let's say, introvert and extrovert, you don't think an introvert is going to be a good salesperson.
Introverts listen.
Well, that's the bit I was going to say.
Yeah.
The extrovert, some people will say I'm like that. I like the sound of my own voice, and I talk a lot. Tend to do more talking than listening. Introverts are the other way round. And what people forget is that when you're pigeonholing people, clients are also introverted and extroverted.
Sure.
And people tend to gravitate towards their own kind. And I remember when I was in London, I had this Iranian British girl. She was a nightmare. She just talked a million words an hour.
Right.
And she was so in your face, and she was very animated, and blah, 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 like this. And then I still remember, her name was Louise, that was it. And then I still remember Adrian, good old Adrian. He was steady Eddie. He'd come in, he'd have his packed lunch. 12 o'clock on the nose, he'd stop and have his lunch. He was a creature of habit.
Right.
And quite quiet, calm.
Mm-hmm.
And there were some people that would actually call me and say, "Oh, I've been dealing with your Adrian. I mean, is he awake?" So they want to slap him about. And then there are others who said, "Love Adrian, perfect for me." So everybody had this character is good for everyone. Okay, but you've got to be able to try and answer the question in just a few sentences. You've got to be able to connect with people. And I think the best way to describe it is if you enter a room and you light up that room, in theory, you should be a good salesperson, because then people will either listen to you, and if what you say makes sense, they'll trust you. And sales is all about trust.
So at least be an approachable character.
Yes, for sure. I mean, when you go
okay.
to these networking events, don't stand by the wall holding your apple juice and just observe.
Yeah.
Get stuck in and talk to people. That's why you're there.
Well, I can imagine you at a networking event actually being pretty good. Because I'm terrible. I'm just like,
You're the one with the apple juice, are you?
I'm either a million words and making up nonsense, or what do I say? That's not my thing. But you have a talent for it, I think. Final question for you. We've got a few seconds. Why do some property managers ask for my visa copy, not just Emirates ID? And my wife's passport, visa copy, Emirates ID. Is that a government requirement for Ijari registration, or is it just overly concerned?
It's overly concerned. Emirates ID is all that is required, because you can't get an Emirates ID without a visa. It's all registered.
Exactly.
So, I think it's just, managers being jobs worth, really, to be honest with you. But what to do. You have to please everyone, and as long as the person's not that bothered, just do it.
Whatever gets you through the day, I suppose. Mario Volpi is Senior VP Investment Advisory at Allegiance Real Estate. He's our real estate man about town. That's going to stick, I think. I'm just throwing things at the wall now, and that's the current one, the spaghetti dripping. You know where I'm going. Mario, great to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.